Hello, our viewer. Good afternoon and welcome to the Citizens Chat Show here on Civic Space TV. We are glad you're still with us and following us and watching these topical discussions here. Today we are still in the Women's Month and we are going deeper on the issue of gender equality. And the question we are going to consider today is what gender equality is in a contemporary world, in this contemporary world. And of course, we are going to discuss this in a very, nitty and gritty, the detail of what gender equality is in a real life of an ordinary person, an ordinary Ugandan, yourself watching, what does it mean? And to help me with this discussion, of course, is a team, a panel, a very interesting one. I wanted more men, but I am comfortable with the two that are here. It is interesting, and it would be more interesting to hear men dissecting this topic called gender equality. What does it mean to each one of us? And before I set the rules of the discussion, I would like to introduce the panel that is before me. They are all pensive, but I think looking forward to the discussion, ladies and gentlemen. And I know this is a very interesting topic. Let me introduce Sarah right across me. Sarah Bireete, you know this one by now. She's in all spaces. But I did not expect you to come for this particular topic here. I didn't know you are interested in this one as well.
It's the most interesting.
Oh, that is good. You're very welcome,
Good
Sarah.
afternoon, viewers.
Yeah, and next to her is Martin Musiime. I think I've got the name very well, from Strategic Response International. Martin is here by virtue of the fact that he's a man, a young man, so to say. And,
corporate man.
we are interested in hearing that voice from the young men, what they feel about this whole topic that we have been bombarding them with for over 30, 60 years, I can say, but in Uganda, mostly 30 years. But globally, it's a bigger discussion. We will share the statistics later. You're welcome, Martin. And I know you're not a new face on Civic Space, probably. Yes, you're welcome, sir. Of course, our common face now, Honourable Obigah Rose. I was advised to start safely with Rose last time. Yes, Honourable, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Is the house on? How is that house?
Well, house is not on. We're on recess.
You're on recess.
But of course, we have a lot of work, committee work.
Oh, yeah.
It's even more than before.
It is more than before.
Yeah.
Okay, of course, we are hearing so many things from the outside, the sickness of the speaker, and on a sad note, how some sections of the public are making a joke about it, which is also
unfortunate.
Yeah, of course, it is not human to engage in that discussion the way some sections of the public are. But you're welcome, Honourable.
Thank you.
And this topic we want to have a conversation on is pertinent, but also interesting, and to you, close to your heart.
Exactly that, and that's why I had to come.
For those who don't know Honourable Rose, she is also a lawyer. I did not know that. You don't front that part of your life. You're fronting the other.
Yeah, the rural
woman.
I just came back from Terego last night.
Many people think that lawyers are not rural.
Oh my God! I represent the most rural woman. My focus is there, and I'm part of them. Wow. You can't represent somebody when you don't know who this person is, what they do, and how they are. And that's why I was elected.
Wow.
So I'm the most rural lawyer.
So for all rural women, if you're looking for a rural lawyer, someone who can help you with legal aid and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Sarah is right here. Joe, I won't spend a lot of time introducing you. You are our own here. And I know that one thing I could add is that Joseph Ochieno is a feminist. And last Sunday, he had a column.
Next Sunday, actually. Coming next week. Yeah.
He has shared an article in which he has really dealt very well with the issues we are going to talk about here. So he is a very strong supporter of these issues, and women in particular, and women's emancipation and empowerment. So this is the team that I have, and of course myself here, Monica Modin. Damian Masesa is not here yet. He will be here, I think, next week. But I've been honored to sit in this space for him for a while. I hope that my panelists accept me to keep coming.
We enjoy your presence.
As a host or panelist?
As a host.
We can't guarantee that.
All right.
Panelists to guarantee.
Okay, for a panelist to guarantee. Yes. Thank you. Either way, any of those, as long as I have space to engage.
Yes.
But can I just say that it's actually very delighting today that it's about women and women emancipation and equality. It's absolutely legalistic, but in an amazing way, except for me, who's a practicing non-lawyer. The moderator is a lawyer and drafted by a lawyer. So yes,
all the panelists
massive
are
stuff.
lawyers.
Massive
The
stuff.
ordinary person here.
Only person who is legally minded but not a lawyer.
Yes, but as much as Honourable is representing rural women, me, I am Muntu.
Are you sure? I was actually going to to compare and contrast the two of you. The other is maybe an elitist.
And to be very precise, Muntu Awansi of Bushenyi. And you know where Bushenyi is. Good.
Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen. The discussion I would like us to have is really interrogating the concept of gender equality in our contemporary world. You know, there is this whole talk about the theories, what gender is, and all these international frameworks and everything that we do all the time. But we need to look beyond that to understand what we mean by gender equality. When I say as a woman, what gender equality is, or when we aspire as women, or when we are demanding that we need to be equal with the men, what do the men perceive out of that? And is there something that we can agree on? There are issues we have disagreed on still in terms of this whole concept, because I believe there are common grounds where we have reached and we say, yes, this is acceptable in this conversation. But there are areas which we still seem to not have a consensus, an agreement. And how can we even agree on them and go forward in view of the fact that the world says we need half? Half is better. Sarah was saying half is better in the last discussion. So how do we go to half is better? How do we reach parity if we do not deal with those, backlashes, small concepts that we have not agreed upon? So that is the conversation I would like us to have. And when we put that question to each one of us, what does it mean to us? What does it mean in the contemporary world? How do men perceive gender equality in the first place? Have we reached a common understanding about certain concepts, certain issues in the family and in the public? But as I wind up my perspective in terms of structuring the discussion, it seems that we have focused more on the public arena in terms of access to resources, access to opportunities, and generally the public discussion. But at the private level, what happens in our individual families, what happens to our bodies as women and men, what happens to the real division of roles, the true meaning of, the relations that happened within our families. How do we play out these relations? Is anything changing? Are women now taking the roles that men have been taking? Or are men also interchangeably doing the same? So let's just take it from there. But don't bring theories. We don't want theories today. We just want real life. Sarah is the one who likes bringing theories and the frameworks. We want those frameworks from the perspective of an ordinary person, how they perceive that framework in their lives. So maybe I would want to begin with the men. I would have loved to have men talk more, because all the time this discussion is women talking. But what do the men think? And I think I want to pick the mind of the young man first there. I know. Martin, what is your understanding? Really, when I say we want equality with you, when we say we want equality with you as women, what do people perceive?
Well,
what is working? What is not working? What can we do more? That will come in later. Just to pick your thoughts, sir.
Thank you very much, Monica. It's an honor to be the first to open the debate. And as a young person, I think I'm really, really humbled.
Yeah.
What I think about this idea, this struggle for equality, for visibility of women efforts, is essentially we have actually this conversation is against a backdrop of course, oppression, the historical injustices. So what I understand in regard to where we are now is trying to completely, dismantle the biases,
that have existed
against
women.
Exactly, against the women, the curtailment that has existed against women. And so we are at a level where we've said enough is enough, okay? Enough with keeping women in the kitchen. Enough with only thinking that it's a woman that is supposed to change the diapers of a child. Enough, and the man is just there reading newspapers, okay? Enough with thinking that it's only the woman who can cook, It's only the woman who can clean the house. It's only the woman who can wash clothes, And in rural areas, enough with thinking that it's only the woman that can till is it called tilling the land?
Till the land,
to grow
firewood,
to grow potatoes. I think we are at a point where we've recognized that we are both the genders, man and woman are both partners in this world. We are all created to contribute to the world in a significant measure in our own way. It may not necessarily be equal in any case. What is the metric of equal? So many times people misconstrue the thing of equality,
as being the same.
As being the same, the way we did in math, 1 equals to 1. I don't think that's the
yes, we need to correct that. Being equal does not necessarily mean women are the same with men. We are different in terms of the role. Okay, the biological. The biological. There's a way to put it out so that the public doesn't confuse it. I may do different roles, but we are equal as human beings. But we are not the same. I think, I don't know if I've even
so it's to recognize that we all contribute something. Okay, so if it's in a home, we all have significant contributions. So it's erroneous to just say equal. No, it's we contribute significantly, because actually if we went to the idea of 2 equals to 2, we would not agree. You
Simply
would find
that we are equal, but we are not the same.
Exactly, we are not the same. You will find that if we are to quantify, and men don't want this, if we are to quantify the contribution, usually women contribute even much more. Because if I'm going to give you a peace of mind, let's say if a woman is going to give you a peace of mind, okay? If a woman is cleaning every domestic thing, the children, the what, you're going to just walk in, change your clothes, your socks
on the door.
Some men just put your feet there, and the woman even is on to undress you, take you for a shower. So you'll realize that the woman even contributes more. It does,
Some families, yes.
So, but he's speaking like a young corporate man.
Yes,
so does your girlfriend do this?
Well,
I cannot accept.
Sarah, you are sitting next to Sarah, and I need to really be alert.
To conclude on what I was saying, that anyway, equality is not. It's a facade. It's a fallacy. It's not there. The idea is for all of us to be humble and appreciate that we contribute. We all contribute in a significant way in the family. So where we are now is that final point of recognizing that that's it, and completely breaking the stereotypes, breaking the barriers, as at a point where men are supposed to be actively involved in this movement of ensuring that all those historical injustices are finally broken.
Well, Martin, there is something you have said there which we need to understand further, because it is the center of our discussion. The issue of gender equality. Whether it means that we, when we say gender equality, does it mean that women and men, you're saying it's a facade, but what probably you mean is that we have not reached that ideal equality that we are talking about. But what we are trying to break down for the ordinary person to understand is that, yes, equality is the ideal goal to reach. We have not reached there. But we are ideally equal by the fact that we are human beings, male and female. But there is no gender which is better than the other. in that sense, because we play different roles, but we are the same in terms of creation. However, because of the historical imbalances or social, creations that you're talking about, women were taken as a gender that is not important and, closed away from society and not accessing all those opportunities. Sarah, you need to put your understanding. Can you help me? How do you understand this whole concept of gender equality? Because then if we misunderstand it from the beginning, then our whole conversation will still be a bias that we are trying to break in this discussion. So just one thought on that before we go to the detail.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Monica. If I may break it down or simplify it, we are looking at 3 generations of women in society. First generation was a period when a woman was perceived as a beast of burden. You till the land, you fetch firewood, you cook, you put... And it is worse when I've gone to Tororo, I've gone to parts of northern Uganda, where women today still build houses, cook, dig, ride bicycles to town, and they must put money in the pocket for their husbands to drink. I saw it even in Apache. So I've seen it in Tororo, I've seen it in Apache, even today,
in Kumit there,
where these women are still living that life of a beast of a burden. So then you have the middle transition, where now the
second generation
said, yes, my girl will go to school. It's not only the boys. My girl will do this. My girl will go to university. So villages started seeing first female graduates.
Okay.
That is the transition. And today we are in this kind of life where we have Honourable Rose as a member of parliament. We have Honourable Lupo, VP. We have Honourable Nabanja, Vice President. And then we have had Dr. Kaziwe. So we are in this generation now of saying they can lead. We have Tanzania led by a president. So these are the generations of women that we should look at in private, in public. How is it doing? Today we have affirmative action. When even us, we started really doing affirmative action. Yes. So that means like 2 generations ahead of me also have benefited from affirmative action. Where you say at entry in university you have an additional 0.5. It goes to courses. Even professional courses, it goes to LDC. I've met parents of boys who are saying, but why don't we limit it at LDC? You know, our boys are being wrestled out. We have more girls graduating at LDC today
than boys.
No, it's coming. It's the 50-50 is coming. It's not yet more.
Actually, to give you information, the World Economic Forum recently released statistics and said the gender gap, what we are talking about, away from gender equality, the gender gap is about 68% to bridge. Or what we have not bridged in terms of gender equality is 68%.
So we have bridged 38.
We have bridged education almost. We are left with 13% to bridge that equality.
Yes. Yeah. So we have that in education. We have health.
And health as well. We have achieved health.
We have achieved a bit, but we still have the traditional birth attendants. I wish we could modernize them. They have the advantages, but also there are disadvantages where they can't examine, where they can't. They are just using the traditional knowledge. They don't have modern equipment. But they come in handy in terms of emergencies where a rural woman does not have transport. When you go to that, we have now working women. And to me, that is my interest now, including the people in the political, civil society, corporate world, public service, whatever it is. You have a man and woman, whether you are grade A, grade B, or you those skills of public service, whether you are an MP, you earn the same money. I know that the women representing larger constituencies even earn more mileage than the men.
Not much.
Not much.
The difference is small.
Very little. 700,000, 700 liters.
Okay, so let's say they earn the same. So when it comes to a family, I want to start from a nuclear
family,
where you have a man, the head of a family, you have a woman, you have the children. And maybe a bit of extended family, because we still have that reality. So you have a woman waking up every day, going to work, same as the man. A woman, going back to Martin's concept, might wake up at 4, prepare breakfast, prepare the children, dress up, and then go to wake up the man to say, water is ready. Can you bathe? You know, your water
you are
has
going to get
heated
late.
up. If you have a heater or I have boiled water for you, I've ironed, we are going to be late. So we still have that bit that we can call gender roles.
Okay.
You drive to school, maybe drop the kids, the man drops you, or each one of you is driving. You go to work. But this woman earns almost the same or more money than the man. But when it comes to the home
responsibility,
bills, if it's rent, the man must provide shelter. You married me. If it's food,
the man must buy.
I'll give the man a list. Go and do shopping. The school fees, I don't even want to look there. I might already discuss the choice of school for my children. But what they pay is your business. If Yaka is over in a home, whether you're there or not, I'll give you a call. Yeah, we've run out of Yaka. And you must find mobile man and send me the code. What I want is a code. I don't want stories. So my question is today, what is this equality
we are talking about?
Is it equality in education? Girl, boy must go to school. Is it equality in political space?
Yes.
We must have women. We are now at 35 in parliament. We are at 44 in cabinet. Cabinet is doing better than parliament.
Well. Yes.
So does it stop in public sphere
or access for economic opportunities?
Or it must extend home, where we see, like in developed countries, male and female, they split the bills. We are going on a date. It's no question about it. Either everybody will pick their bill or we split 50-50. If you are dating a British girl, there is nothing like transport refund.
Or clearing the bill.
Send me transport before I come. So what type of equality are we talking about?
What type of equality are we talking about, ladies and gentlemen? But I want just to put something into perspective, but I'm going to come to Joe shortly on what type of equality we want as women and men. Before you go further, the statistics of the World Economic Forum seem to suggest that in health and in education, we are achieving the gender equality there. Women are accessing health and all that, but of course a few gaps here and there. In politics, we are not yet there. We are just at 22% globally. And that means that it will take about 133 years to balance all these sectors of life. 133. But when you look deeper in politics, it will take us 146 years. That means when all of us have disappeared from the universe, that will be even our great-grandchildren perhaps. In the economy, Sarah, where you have put your focus on, it will take us 256 years to have economic equality between women and men. So then somebody must ask Sarah a question whether we are ready to split the bills, but that is not for me to ask. We will come back to that. Of course, me, I'm very passionate with the area of politics. That is my focus a lot of times. I'll give that to Honourable Obigah there to handle. So I want to come back to the question of what Sarah is saying. What kind of equality are we talking about? Are the men ready to split these roles? If the men are also ready maybe to take care of the other roles in the family, in the British, I mean the modern countries, developed countries, maybe it happens. But in Uganda here, are the men willing to do the roles that women do in the family in terms of...
Can they be shared?
Can they be shared as well? So that one we need to have an honest conversation. So I'd like to pick from Honourable Mr. President here in terms of the type of equality you'd like to see in the home, men and women. Are men willing to share these responsibilities?
No, I thank you very much. I just want to apologize that I'm putting on jeans today because I had no power from 8 o'clock in the morning until time to come to the studios. And I had lunch courtesy of Sarah and moderator Monique. And so I thank you, ladies. So, you know, women.
So empowerment is working
empowerment worked there. Except my worry was that the privilege of access to power was basically electricity to iron my shirt. My suits are dry cleaned. I'm relatively privileged.
You do it yourself?
No, my suits are dry cleaned, so relatively privileged. So I iron my shirts, I iron my clothes. But the average rural woman...
So he's doing some core.
Yes,
the average rural woman in Terego does not really have the privilege of waiting for electricity because they really don't have it. Even in minor Gongre aspects of it, still don't have it. So the point is that the woman has got to go and fetch fire. And in the deforested part of
Can't the man fetch
Uganda,
that firewood for her? Will it change his status as a man?
Basically, that's the point I'm trying to make. That is how badly performing women are. Now, the women of the Martin group generation who've got to pay the yaka, the corporates, you know, it's a slightly different context. But I thought I would introduce the conversation with that to tell you the extremes of disadvantage. But that said, I happen to be lucky that I've got 4 generations, Sarah, of experiences. And in a way, it emphasizes my femininity. And for that, I was having a conversation with a friend during lunch that maybe for us men, it may also be about our upbringings. My grandmother, except for the fact that my grandfather did not cook, in fact, my mother tended to provide more food for my grandfather. My grandmother was absolutely the boss of our household. In our home, yes, my grandmother. My father, my father was quiet. My mother was the boss of our household.
Maybe we need to understand that.
No, indeed, but I'm also saying it that this did happen, Sarah. I'm saying that this did happen in Bukedi of Tororo, meaning this can happen in Terego, but I also know that even today in Tororo, it's not necessarily happening. My point is, it's not happening everywhere. It should happen.
What made them the bosses?
Some of these are basically attitudes, you know. What I'm saying here is women are getting raw deals. My grandmother got a relatively fair deal.
At her time?
There's no reason at her time, and there's no reason why everyone else doesn't do that. But maybe it has influenced me, you see. And that is why I have intervened, and I've said it on this program, I've intervened severally in domestic disputes in this town around corporate families where women are massively and hugely abused.
What our grandmothers did, we still do them. We wash, we cook, we iron, of course in the modern times, but then the ordinary woman in the village goes to the garden. Your grandmother did the same, goes for firewood. Your grandmother did.
And my grandfather.
So what did she exactly enjoy?
The emphasis was, the emphasis here I'm talking about domestic violence, and maybe you came in too early.
Yeah.
Domestic violence, domestic abuse. And when you translate my grandmother to my daughter or myself, there's really no reason why the average Martins do not share the bill. There's no reason why the dispute should be about money in the household when everyone else is privileged. Because my father worked, my mother managed the home, by and large, I never saw disputes around resources. You know, I'm talking about the gender equality question as you asked, because it's really about equality. I mean, opportunities. First, for women. We are saying generally women have suffered generational inequality. I am saying from my lived experience, I have seen inequality and the possibility that these things can be done. That improve. An average woman, you don't have to go to school. That's why I was trying to tell you that I know corporate women in town who have gone through huge experience that I can't understand. In a very ironic way, I'll give an example. Sarah was referring to London. The late mother of my daughter at one time gave me very good feedback when friends came to visit. And she was boasting of how nice I know how to make tea. And her kids, so he does make tea. Meaning therefore that they didn't expect that I would be the one to rush and go and make the tea. So I'm trying to tell you young guys, and particularly you men, it is possible this can be done, and it's extremely cool. That's what I'm trying to say. It is cool and can be done and should be done. But on the contradictions, again, of gender, which is maybe another point Sarah raised, I ever had a friend with whom I said that I don't mind being a house husband. I saw the reaction from my friend. My friend sort of thought maybe I was playing the lazy man. I was likely to play the lazy man rather than the other, which is part of the points that Sarah was raising before we came on air. So there are broader issues. But that said, politically, my view, not party political, my view is that these things should be community-led. These things should be exemplarily led, like my grandfather did and my father did, and I hope I am making my small contribution to do so. But also, at policy level, the statistics you're referring to, I am not as pessimistic as you are. I don't see these things taking over 100 years, any of those within amongst your industry. I don't.
We shall defeat that time.
Yeah, it should be knocked off quickly.
It's just a development that is needed.
On the parliamentary question, I've got a rather radical view on this. I shared with a colleague the other day, in fact, he also shared it, I think Michael actually, to take part of his job. We were talking about this thing, that actually, maybe for instance, our National Assembly, we should reduce the size, one, and having reduced the size, we should actually make it a two-person constituency, meaning that perhaps you have a Terego, and you have Terego female and male, but it can be both female, but it cannot be two men, something along those lines, to push these things to equality. I talk as somebody who, in the 90s, I drew some of the structural proposals for mainstreaming youth and women in Uganda People's Congress. Well, I keep on talking about it here, but it was idea about mainstreaming youth and women, in this case, mainstreaming women into the national economic and social realities of our communities, up to and including families. But linked to that, which is very important, I am very conscious that the issue is not about the corporate women, because those are the majority, those are the minority women. The majority women are the women of Terego. Those women of Terego's priority, and it links to my column of this coming Sunday, is very much about access to water, safe water, access to safe water, access to health. On the health indices, I disagree, because while we talk about accessing facilities, the kind of experiences that women go through just merely on a monthly basis, is one which is not man-led. How much do the state, do the public, our coffers, tax coffers, contribute consciously to that? I have suggested that condoms are free out there in town, but pads are not. That if this is part of the conversations we are having, then I'm not really sure that we are addressing this thing. So to me, it's those ones. So in Parliament, political representation is that. I also suggest that in this Women's Month, that actually Uganda managed to present the first woman president of an independence political party in Mama Miriam's position. It is mildly referred, but the first independence political party to have a female president was Mama Miriam, Uganda People's Congress.
UPC.
Now, UPC, as it were. Now, while that may be minimally considered, maybe political parties and organizations need to be looking at this. And in the very likely event that I lead this party going forward, possibly we shall come back here over the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years to see in terms of facts and figures, in terms of names and numbers of representation of these things. Now, these things must be driven policy-wide, but it must be qualitative. And qualitative is much more about services than even where we are at.
Qualitative is the point that Joe is making. He agrees with the progress that is there, but then the quality, Honourable Obigah, in terms of, I'll just focus you to ask you to address your mind to the politics, but also to the rural woman. What is that we have not, what we are not seeing, the elite women, those nitty things that affect an ordinary woman in her home, in her marriage, that we have not paid attention to in terms of quality. But of course, I would like you to address your mind on the issues of the politics. The gap is still big. People think we have achieved in terms of political participation, but the statistics are talking opposite, because 22% is what we have achieved globally. In Uganda, we've been stagnated at 35%. What is not working?
Rwanda is at 67.
But that was the mechanic in a way that it was not, the way Rwanda achieved its 60% parity is beyond, it's a combination of affirmative action, but also some other intervention. So
And that's what I'm saying. But it has to be.
Deliberate.
Because at the end of the day, the emancipation of women, you know, is a net contribution to the positivity of society.
I agree.
While at the same time, we're also saying that the inequalities is actually something close to criminal in some situations.
But such countries in Africa are only 10, including Uganda, which have been
At
able to make that,
35.
yes, above 30. So let's just hear from Honourable B.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. From a rural woman's perspective, first of all, when you see a woman now change from that rudimental to a middle level, she has gone through a lot. She's vexed. She's actually, her thoughts are a little emotional. And now this needs a mind balance, attitude change. For example, I wouldn't want to talk about big things. I'm sorry, I have a rough voice. I've been.
Is it always like that?
No, I've been touring.
She talks
my
too much, and she's come from
Terego
yesterday. She came from Terego yesterday.
When a politician says about ground.
I live with the rural woman. I feel them. I try to do mindset change. You see, now a woman who is empowered gets so cruel when she realizes, if you have been beating her, when she realizes she can beat you, she'll beat you 3 times. So what can we do about this? They are the ones now who can pick small loans and sell small items like tomatoes, onions. They have some money. They're actually the ones who can buy meat, change diet, change diet
in the family. But how are the men taking it? How are the men perceiving this empowerment at the local level?
Well, unless you talk to them, they are so negative. I remember a teacher asked me a question. You are saying you want to, all the schools should have adult literacy. Our women should be able to do small businesses, supplement on our income. We should allow them to go to the schools. Tell us, Rose, how about my cows I paid? I almost slapped him. I bought this woman. He said, I bought her. And now she's the one having money and she doesn't want to give me money to drink. Can you imagine? You want money from this woman to go and drink. But if we
profit from cows, yeah?
Property. Yeah.
But if we do it like a man is not everything. When you feel you don't have money at a certain point, a man does not have. The issue of patriarchy still works. Like me as a woman MP, at times I have discussions with colleagues. At times they don't have money. One day I was in a parliamentary canteen, and then a colleague was taking, call it...
taking breakfast or what?
No, tea which has a lot of ginger and dawa tea. I said, Rose, do you like it? I said, oh, wow, this would be good. Good, let me have. He said the bill was to be given to him. Then I saw him talk to the waitress.
Put it on the account.
Keep it, I'll come and pay. Then I asked him, you think I don't have money? Let me pay both. Let me pay for you. But he refused, yet he didn't have money. So men, yes, girls or women would like to pay their bills. When in my culture, in the villages, when you start buying food, you buy clothes for children, for your husband, say now you have reduced me into a woman.
But doesn't it seem to be working in the village that when women are doing some small business trade here and there, they take charge of the responsibilities at home, they buy
That is
food.
what
Naturally. They've been doing that for ages.
Doesn't it contradict what Sarah is talking about in the corporate world now?
The corporate
seems it's opposite. Maybe you just a bit focus on
I always remain in the village. That is again maybe my challenge. You know, once a woman starts getting money and she's doing everything in the home, do you know that she can refuse to give sex?
Is that so?
She gets so difficult. She actually looks at you.
Tired.
Overworked.
She gets so like, who
topic,
is this? I'm doing everything myself. I'm the one who bought this meat you are eating. And then you want to come and do what?
No.
You know, it's so disgusting.
And the men are in the bars.
Even they want to eat lunch in the trading centers.
And you give them pocket money.
You also want me to give you the money to go and eat out there. But anyway, I try to balance the equation. I counsel the women, if you as a man, if you know that your wife is doing a lot, come and help her. Stand with her. Washing clothes, or helping her with their children. You know, there are children who just get a tear on the side. And if you don't mend it, if you don't
Maybe
use it,
to put this into perspective, to understand better, what is the daily journal of a woman in the village compared to the female in town? And I think there is a contradiction, Sarah, between these two women. The woman in the village, she wakes up in the morning and does literally everything. The man may not even go to the garden, he will just...
Actually, they rarely do.
in which he slept.
Sorry?
They rarely do. The men rarely do.
So what is that daily
I
journal
will
and
share
how
my
does it
experience
compare?
After
Yes,
Honourable.
Honourable.
Yeah, you wake up early morning to see to it that the children have some cold power. But then we still take cold power. But
What
you
is
ma-
cold?
the cold food. You give it to
They said
kids.
you should pack it, the kids should
So
pack it
it's
to
called
school.
cold power,
Yeah.
but you can warm it.
You can, but of course the children
How?
these days go very early.
There, how do you guys-
By
Is-
5, 4:30. Even village schools by they have started. They go very early
The
because
boys.
we have become so hard on them.
The cost.
LCs are on them. Why are you keeping children
To
home?
pack cold power
Power,
also.
she packs, and then she has to also give some tea for the man. Then she leaves with the man to the garden. After that, they come back. She makes porridge. We make porridge at times with cassava, and we put chua in it, tamarind.
No
And then the
sugar.
man sits here to take it. She takes a jerrycan, rushes to go and fetch water, comes and washes her leg as she's fetching water. She comes, makes fire, puts beans to boil, gets inside, picks dirty clothes out, sweeps the room, and washes the clothes as beans is boiling. And then she washes that dirty
Where is the
plates.
man by that time?
He's taking porridge and enjoying, listening to
Maybe
music.
listening to radio.
Radio. And maybe they have taken
Some
water,
of
he has
them
taken a
already
shower.
drinking, perhaps, which is the other
yeah,
extreme these
and
days. Yes.
takes shower, goes, comes back towards when food is ready.
And who has picked the food to cook? Is it the man? Probably sometimes it's the women who...
All of it has been the woman. She has
does
done
this
it all.
quickly, so that she takes a few things to go and sell to the market. So that by the time she comes, sauce is ready. She has to run, look for the slippery leaves, come and put in the beans and so forth. So by the time you are going to bed,
yes.
you have been toiling and you have bought some mukene for tomorrow's meal. You are just disgusted. Then he comes very drunk and say, you want what again?
No comment.
No comment, but we must comment on it because...
But anyway, it's good to remain sober.
Okay, now
Culture
contrast that
dictates
situation
the man is the owner of the home.
with the politician in you. What is the difference with now the politics? Is anything changing on the other side? Because now the rural woman seems not to be changing in any way. Actually, she's still having those roles. The men don't seem to be taking up any roles like in town. We will come back to the town setting.
Yeah, we have a big task. All of us, we have a big task in all addressing the issue of mindset change. Unless we all get up and really parade ourselves to the villages, because that is where the biggest population is. Yeah, they are willing to change. Once you explain to them and you lose your voice like mine,
Generally.
then they say, okay, we are willing and ready. Because we need each other.
Yes.
Men should not think women need them alone. No. Women need men and men also need women
Okay.
to complement each other.
She has given us a good perspective. Some of us, I think, we forget what is going on in the villages even.
You never grew up in the village. That's why the town leader had better tell you.
I am a rural woman
But I
as
am
well.
a Muntu hours. I know Martin needs coming, but
Sorry.
if I may connect to
Please.
Rose and then Martin comes
Yes.
after me. I recently, just last month, I had a conversation with my mother, who was a stay-home mom throughout. But she refused the title of a housewife. Because
Why?
I asked her, were you a housewife? She said, no. How can I be a housewife? I stayed at home, but I was working maybe from home. So I said, why? She said, look, I was in charge of the agricultural business of the family.
Okay.
There was food, the banana, because we have banana plantation, we have other substance things, but also the farm.
Yes.
She said, I was very busy running these things at home. And I would put man on table because the farm was commercial with the milk going to the dairy production, at times selling cows.
Yeah.
And she would do shopping for us. So she was in charge of our clothing.
Yeah.
And our father would be in charge of the other things, little that he needed to subsidize the food and fees and the rest. So she said, but how can you call me a housewife? I'm not like these people in Kampala who sit and they just want to be fed. I was working, I was supervising farm, the workers and taking care of the home. So if I may connect, and I know, though I come from Bushenya and I've told you I've been to Apache, Tororo, parts of northern Uganda, I really sympathize with
the
those
woman there.
women.
Yeah.
The real description of a beast of a burden in this day
Is there.
You look at a woman, Tororo. I stayed days in Tororo.
I am from Tororo.
Yes, I know. Yes,
That's why she's
so you
making
saw. That's why I met, and these are practical examples. So I was asking, why are some, of course not all, why are some of these huts short? Said, but look, they are made by women. By the time the woman constructs roofing, this is where they stop. So you have to bend. And I visited some of these homesteads, and I'm like, where are the men? So Tororo has a part of men that concentrate on drinking.
Everywhere, even
They
in
wake
Terego.
up, and if you don't have their breakfast, they'll beat you. Also, highs of the rates of domestic violence. They want to eat, and you must give them money to go and drink, hang out with the big boys.
Yes.
I know that we are really shaking tables where people's drinks are, but we need to deal with
The
these
drinking.
realities.
Yes.
Come for lunch,
Eat, go back.
go back. I was in Apache, I'd gone for burial. So I asked around and I took a walk. I said, the mangoes everywhere. So, because I love mangoes, I went to pick mangoes and also see what is life like. Because as we drove into a patch, I really saw a backward place. And I was traumatized. I was like, is this part of Uganda?
That is Obote's former district, by the way.
Yes, and we are talking about 5 to 7 years ago.
Yes.
It is not far.
It is not far. It is still the same.
Still
It
within.
is still the same. So we spent. I spent 2 nights in Apache, and I was like, "What is this?" Take a walk. There are those small huts for mweso.
Okay. You find the men there.
The men sit. They need to play their mweso. They must have their drink.
Okay.
Do you know who constructs those huts? The women.
Even those ones.
For the men to play mweso and hang out. Yes. If I'm wrong, I want somebody to challenge me.
No, you're not wrong.
So we need to discuss the empowerment, of this woman. So they stay in the garden. They don't prepare lunch. So everybody must go. They eat mangoes for lunch. Everybody must go collect mangoes. This woman will come back from the garden with water, with firewood, and prepare something for another, like lunch, dinner. People eat at 5, 6. These are people living in Uganda like us. And they are struggling to educate their children,
The same way
hoping
we
that
are.
their children should live a better life than them. They ride bicycles. So if she has come from the garden, there is no soap. The man is at Mweso, the Mweso house.
Yes.
They are on every corner. These Mweso huts. You find all men, able-bodied men, shamelessly, seated during the day. The woman will pass riding a bicycle to look for salt. That's if she has some money.
So has this always been the case? Was it better? Joe seems to disagree with this whole
I
discussion.
want him to tell me.
No, I
the ocean.
think what Sarah is talking
Just
about.
in 2 minutes. I want us
No,
to
what,
go
no, what
something
Sarah
else.
is talking about is relatively new. And it's a more recent cultural thing with the creation of so-called centers. So it's actually so bad that it's actually not only affecting the men, but affecting even the younger men. So generally. But the principle of women working hard and longer has always been there. To the extent that I was saying that while I was referring to my grandmother and my mother as relatively privileged and doing it in a very different way, obviously other women were experiencing this. In fact, one of my wake-up emancipation, I think I've ever told Sarah this, was standing by our gate and seeing a man whipping a woman as he was riding a bicycle. I think the woman, they would already have had some disputes. Maybe the woman returned to their parent to home, and then maybe she was told, look, go back with your husband. And the man now rolls a bicycle. That was something so traumatic in the early time, I will never forget it. But just one quick thing I want to say. My mother had to battle with my two sisters with the idea that my father was handpicked and my mother was wasting money educating my sisters. So that happened then.
Okay, Martin, I just want to pick your thoughts. I am short of time. This first segment, we've dealt on the roles. We've dealt on the roles of women. And you started off this discussion, and for you, you are in agreement that these roles must change. But it seems all the panelists say the roles have not changed. We seem to be, in the same circle that our mothers were in terms of roles. And when we are talking about gender equality, then what are we talking about? Where are we even in terms of the progress we are making? Just a few thoughts on any issue that you have has tickled your mind here. Then we go for a break. When we return, there's a more interesting discussion we would like us to go to.
Thank you very much, Monica. I want to talk about three things. The last one will be the privilege among some women, or that will be addressing Sarah's earlier point of dates and what. Then the other one will be still the definition of equality. But then the first one is ideally on the deconstruction of the male figure and all. According to what I've had people explain how hardworking women are, how resilient women are, how central to life women are. I actually think, and I could be wrong, I think God is a woman. I think God is a woman.
Exactly.
And Shaggy in his song, is it Power of a Woman? Who says, I think God is a woman. Because if you see the nature of God, at least from the Bible, and then you see the woman,
The nature of a woman.
the two are so similar, in their nature.
I've never heard that from anyone.
I think God is a
That
woman.
element of it is now very close to,
So that is why it's important for us to deconstruct the idea of a man as a warrior, as a powerful provider, as well. Because from what we've seen is that at every center, there is a woman. At every pivot, there is a woman. So where do patriarchs, people who orchestrate patriarchy, come and say the man is all over the place,
over.
And we also need to decolonize the idea of patriarchy, because, as I understand, the terrible brands of patriarchy, putting down women and were imported, from colonialism, and they came with capitalism, because in those. I don't know, there are very many stages of capitalism and industrial growing, industrial societies, and what women were tools of production, They were kept inside they were literally capital. They were contributing to the wealth of men. So they tilled the land, they did all that, so that men become industrious and all that, It's also included. It also now goes into the slaves and masters and mistresses and things like that. So women were sort of a true. Now, Africa largely, I think there was a measure of emancipation of women.
At that point.
Yes, before colonialism.
Pre that time.
When you read, for example, the history of Buganda, women had a say. And Namasole in Buganda was something. And Namasole, once a Namasole says, Namasole is the mother of the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother. She was literally the main power behind the kingdom.
Yes.
Why they tell us why Mutesa actually accepted Catholics is because Catholics have the idea of a Virgin Mary, a mother, Bikira Maria, and then Mutesa was fascinated by the idea that, wait a minute, you guys recognize women, and I love my mother so much. My mother is such a part of me. So that's why he was very welcoming to Catholics. So we have to look. In West Africa, there was Amazons, the Amazon women. These were warrior women. They were these were at the front of resistance. Actually, even in Uganda, women have continued to resist many of those things. In Apa, is it Apa? Those land evictions, it's the women at the forefront. So you still see that. It's not the idea that a woman is lesser than a man. It's a man. Is very foreign. Even I haven't finished.
No, you are coming back. We are just going for a short break right now, ladies and gentlemen, and we are coming back to deconstruct the man. Deconstruct the man. We want to unpack the man and deconstruct the man. Yes. So let us go for a short break, and when we return, we'll get into a more interesting discussion.
The Citizens Chatroom happens every Friday at 2 p.m. on Civic Space TV Online on Facebook and YouTube. We invite you to be part of this conversation. Civic Space TV, freedom always.
Okay, you're welcome. We've been having a heated discussion backdoors here with my panel. And of course, one of the controversial issues we must talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is this beast of burden as a woman. Contrast her with the partner of a man in the family. After the long day, because we've interrogated in the first discussion that these roles actually are not changing. And with the coming of the changes in the economy and all that, the woman is actually getting more overburdened, especially in the rural area. But also in the urban center here, not much is changing. Women are also still stuck on their roles. And I don't know how to put it. The women in the center here, in the urban centers or corporate women, seem to be thinking their role is the sexual pleasuring of the man compared to. So if I'm doing that, my role as a woman, what then does the man give back in return? So it seems to be seen as an exchange. It's an exchange. And that's why I want to come back to what Sarah said, that the women are not giving up these roles. They are still expecting the men to meet the daily needs of the family in view of the other role that they play. So I don't know. It's as difficult as that. I'm having trouble bringing it up. But I want us to interrogate the issue of sexual relations. Are they changing in view of the modern times as well? Roles, the domestic roles are not changing, although Martin is trying to introduce the fact that the man must be deconstructed. He must change. So that conversation is very important. The man needs to do some work that women used to do, washing your clothes, ironing.
But do we need to deconstruct the man?
Yes.
That's his argument.
Because gender empowerment and equality, we are not saying women should become men.
Yes.
And we are not saying...
No. We are not.
But so I would like to see a society where a man is a man and basic respect is accorded, but also respect is earned.
Yeah.
So if we started from a point that partners should respect each other,
that is okay,
and earn respect in turn, but also, as much as I can wear jeans meant for women, I am not wearing jeans. I'm not a man. And I don't want to be looked at as a man. I still want my femininity to come out.
Absolutely.
I still want my partner to bring me a nice scented perfume in the evening. I still want a chocolate. Yes, those things are not going away. And they have nothing to do with empowerment. But I want equal relations in a household, the way we deal with each other, and the way we treat each other.
But the men have said, Sarah, we also want those chocolates, we want those gifts that we buy you. Have you ever thought of the fact that women never do that for men?
No, some women do.
No. It depends on how people relate with each other. We talked about behind the scenes. We talked about sexual relations.
Even in the villages,
a woman in a happy relationship will not ask how much. There's this song by a Tanzanian saying, it is sweet for a man, I will give. After all, it is him. It is for him, yes. But what is it for? But when a woman is not happy, even once a week becomes a problem. Even how long you spend, because there is no happiness, internal happiness. So even once a month can be a problem. So if you ever see men saying there's a problem in our home, just to know that it takes two to tango, and there's something they are not doing, and in return, there is something that has automatically cut off. But away from that, let's look at the rural woman. This is now for the urban woman. A rural woman wakes up, does twice the work that a man does. Honourable shared where even men go to the farm. And those are few.
Very few. Yes.
Most of these backward women, they think all their time is sit. Where's my pocket money? I go and hang out with the men, drink, come back and eat. So we have a bigger problem. in the rural, setup
areas, yes,
than in the urban corporate setup.
Absolutely.
So you have this woman who has been working the whole day, twice the work. She's very tired. And then in the night for you have been hanging out, you come, you're happy, with some alcohol excitement, say, turn here.
Flowing
what
in the
am
blood.
I turning? That is the
Turn where? Yes.
What am I turning? This body has been battered.
The whole day.
The whole day. Do I turn it again? And am I happy or am I turning it for additional battering?
No, but Sarah, you seem to suggest that sexual pleasure is for men only. I don't know what Honourable you
That's
have
why
to
I said that happiness is from within.
Because women seem to be giving to the man.
No. When I'm happy, I also want.
Okay.
But when I'm battered, then what is it? Yes.
What is good for the goose is good for the gander.
You've summarized it like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, if a man stays with you and does a part of your house chores and you have been smiling, laughing, it's automatic.
It's automatic.
Even orgasm is automatic.
It's automatic.
But you see a beast coming to batter you 3 times. You know, you even fail. You remain a log. Most of them told me, we just now give him because dowry was paid.
Because they'll beat you.
Yeah, they'll beat you.
It's a cause for violence.
Wow. Wow.
So maybe way forward, I've been trying to meet the men and women. You have to go beyond what you're supposed to do. Can we understand that doing what women do, but partly helping her, does not change you?
Does not change your status.
Does not change you and make you to become a woman. It even makes life sweeter in the night when they are serving you the second dish. If they can even give you up to the 4th dish. But if you do not help her, she's exhausted. It's human to be tired. It's
to be
human.
tired.
Yeah, to see that this is actually not a partner. And they understand, by the way. Say, oh, okay, we shall help her. We shall help each other.
Because you benefit out of it.
Yeah, everything starts from mindset. You start during the day, laughing, having jokes, but you have not been here. You have been in a certain world. You come smelling, you come it very cold. I've been here alone. Really, does it come? It doesn't.
Wow. I hear
not
these
like
women
that.
talking. I think we need a whole show for this segment of discussion alone.
So there is no space for deconstructing the men.
No, we are going to deconstruct the men. Please, Martin, help us deconstruct this man you're talking about. What are some of those roles?
And improve the sexual relations.
Include that one also. How can we deconstruct this male, man in sexual relations? But I would like you to deal with the roles that can be dealt away with. What are those minimums, the basics that men can, be supported to understand that this man does not change. The man, will not change if you are deconstructed and you do these things together with women, so that the benefit in the 4th and 3rd dish and 5th is for you ultimately, as Honourable Obigah said. Yeah.
Well, deconstructing the man is not necessarily saying taking away the man and what, but it's to sort of clip the wings that have been put by patriarchy. You know, that bubble that patriarchy has put. And I think there was sort of a parable, something like that, a story of a cockerel, a male chicken shouting on, how they make that sound on a hill. So people always thought, oh my goodness.
The hens crow.
Now when the male chicken cocks, or I don't know, is it crowing? Now it was on a hill, so because it makes too much noise, everyone thought, oh my goodness, that was so big, that's so mighty an animal. No one knew that it was actually a small thing until people went and said, you know what, let us go and find out what that thing is that scares us and what. Only to find it was just a simple chicken. So we have to deconstruct in that sense that what makes people think that a man is too powerful to wash utensils, okay? Wash them. Are you going to die if you wash them? That is still deconstructing.
Yeah.
So if a man drops the children to school, are they going to lose the fact that they are male? No.
Or picks them.
Exactly. So if you demand for sex and the woman says I'm not okay, and now at this
That
particular
is
time,
sacrilege.
okay?
Apparently, we battled with marriage and divorce bill and that issue. The men
senior
say
people
you
actually,
cannot say no,
offenses.
my dear.
And sexual offenses.
senior people in
Yeah.
government were saying it's not even possible. You cannot deny it. But again, that is also, so who tells you who tells you that man gets on demand? That is still, we have to deconstruct that thing, that it's not that you have to always get your way as a man.
It's
okay,
interesting
have you
to hear
talked
that
to your
from a man,
partner?
because,
Have you talked to your partner? Is your partner in the mood? Okay, because also it has to be reciprocal. Also, women actually
Did you
should
so create
understand
the
that it's not only.
did you create the mood? Okay.
Also, the women also should create the mood, by the way.
Okay.
So the woman should also understand that it's not only the man to be satisfied. They should also know that the woman also gets satisfied.
I'm
okay,
so happy to hear that from a man.
And
because
the earlier you talk about these things, like the more you set the mood, the better for both of you. You will both climax,
Wow.
like
This young
Honourable
man
was
is
saying.
talking.
you know, we had a battle. I think you should go and talk to members of parliament as we warm up again to bring back the marriage and divorce bill. We have battled with an issue called marital rape and the fact that women should never say no because they don't have valid reasons to say no to a man in a marital setting and in their sexual relations. So it's a big concern. I'm surprised that a man actually understands us better the way Martin is doing in this show. I think that's very commendable.
And very importantly, Uganda has a belief rate of, to say people who believe in religion, around 93%. That means religion has a big say in how we relate and how people relate. Okay. Now, if for as long as religion brings the figure of everything, man, warriors, David, man, Jesus Christ, of course, man, with all due respect,
There was
God,
a Deborah.
But there was also
There was a
Deborah.
Deborah.
Do you hear those stories?
Ruth,
Do you hear those stories in Sunday reading?
Yes.
Rarely do you hear those stories, actually,
We have
you know.
now women taking up the pulpit, the stories.
And that is good. You see,
Yes.
when you see religion at least trying to women coming at the forefront, okay, highlighting the fact that women were so fundamental in the salvation of man, for example, of our Lord. You look at how Jesus treated men. Preachers should emphasize that. It disheartens me when a female preacher also goes on the pulpit and begins saying, oh my goodness, to perpetuate patriarchy, oh my goodness, always prepare. After all, God says respect and obey, not looking at how that verse ends anyway, which also talks about respect, also giving a responsibility to men. So religion has a big role to play because religion and colonialism, those ones brought their patriarchy. I think now for sober-minded Christians, sober-minded believers, it's important that we appreciate faith from that point of enlightenment, okay, of concern for humanity. That there are some cultures, European cultures, Jewish cultures, that have used their kind of the Bible for their narratives, and also capitalists and masculinists have used the Bible to perpetuate patriarchy. We need to say no, but the Bible says differently. And as a society in Uganda, we have always valued men. So that is
Martin
is part of the process of deconstructing.
A theorizer. Is still in the theories of feminist theories and all those things.
Martin is my legal assistant, and I'm a feminist. So I'm delighted. I'm delighted that we are two feminists here. So we're giving hopes and possibilities. That actually the things are there. And that also said, that having been said, that actually there are more Martins out there than we might also think.
Should get them
and it's very, very important. And so another very important disclaimer, Martin has talked religion there, but Martin is an ex-seminarian.
Is that
so he's talking out of authority, and I'm really suitably impressed by that.
Okay, that's very important. But I was just trying to pick his mind in terms of breaking it down to what is the bare minimum we can agree on and say, okay, of course there are things that are not changeable, the biological roles. It's only women who go to the labor ward. The men will never go there except to witness. But the rest of the roles,
all the running around, they can take their women for checkup, they can be there,
they can
do the
change
shopping,
pampers,
run, recently I got a
Yeah.
granddaughter, and the father was, even the baby was in nursery for 2 days.
And the father was
the
there.
only one attending to the baby. I
Wow.
was so impressed.
Maybe also to add, Sarah as an employer, maybe they should give also days to men when they
More
get
days.
children. You say, tell a man, not only 3 days, please go for these 2 weeks, be there with your 2 weeks or a month, be there with your wife.
The
Okay?
Kenyan people actually take 20 days.
Yes,
The
be
men.
there.
Uganda, yes, the
Be
men
there
only.
with your.
How long is paternity leave in Britain?
In UK.
It is, I think, more than 50% of the women. So,
Because
several
in
months.
Sweden it's
Indeed,
equal.
yes.
Men, women,
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
paternity
Yes.
leave to bond with
Bond.
the
The same
babies.
thing.
And indeed,
And these are some of the things maybe we should. Yes.
and I was actually
Ugandan men don't use that to go and take
Recently, I was
alcohol.
in one
The
of my
organic
parishes.
make more babies.
Okay,
Yeah,
Honourable
I was in one of my parishes, and it had a grade 3 health center, and the in charge said, if you're pregnant, come here with your husband.
Okay.
And men refused.
Women hire
And
men now.
Yeah, they started going with young men
imagine?
who are not even looking fathers.
Uh-huh.
Others were like, no, I don't want to step in for your husband. He will misjudge me. So until I went to have a negotiation with the men. Why?
You're
Why
doing
are you
a
not
lot
going?
of work.
You mean you are not conscious when you made her pregnant? This must stop. And I called the LC5 chairman. Come here for a baraza. Come and talk to them. They must go with the men.
Wow.
Because the support needed for a pregnant woman at home. You know, all through that
they need
journey
to
of
be
9
prepared,
months, the support needed. It's not just about carrying.
It is not.
No.
Yeah. It is more than that.
It's
Economic,
more than that.
psychological, physical. Sometimes the woman's pregnancy takes another toll, and you need to give physical treatment in a way. I was trying to pick Joe's mind, picking from your experience as a man, of course, who has lived out of the country. You know how other men there relate with women in terms of the roles in the family, in terms of the public relations and everything. What is the bare minimum? Just speak to that.
the patriotic question that Martin is talking about is general, is holistic. I think it's global. Generally, the West and many other cultures, things have changed. Many of these are things that have been driven by communities.
What has changed?
Have been
there?
driven by
Maybe
communities and cultures.
Ugandan
And indeed, I'm bringing it to you. I just actually even want to correct this, the leave for men. It still happens to be very, very low. But I want to say that before I actually answer that I've got a close family member who had who gave birth the other week, and they nearly refused to give the father of my fantastic twins merely 1 week. And it was a battle which was close to a legal battle, and that is here. And it's really something which is massively shameful. And it contrasted to that, I remember carrying my daughter, taking her to a nursery at several weeks when the mother just started work. And there's this wrap thing.
Oh, yes. The kangaroo thing.
Yes.
How do they call them?
And this Ghanaian woman stopped me. And I thought she knew me, and she didn't. She simply said, wow, she was just excited that it was a man doing that. And while I appreciate that, I still actually wonder how far behind we are. But that having been said, other cultures, one of the earliest experiences I had was when a lady friend, we went out for a film, the movie. She said she had already paid for the tickets. And then after that, we went for a meal. And then I was trying to play, insisting on payment. And then she said, but Joseph, I have more money than you.
What are you traveling?
Yeah, that was way back, a very long time ago. And that was an opener for me for those cultures. So generally, some of the conversation we're having here, first of all, domestic violence is a crime.
Yeah.
I would like to make sure that it's a crime here in Uganda.
It is a
all
crime.
of us need to make sure that it's not only a crime, but it's something which is applicable. I'm sorry to bring you back to Uganda, because Mighty Ali wanted to say that part of our campaign, maybe one of the going forward thing, is that our campaign should be to make sure that men do not beat women. I've given an instruction in my family community in Nagongera that nobody brings anybody's daughter
what should
to our
women,
family.
Should men do more?
But that's what clearly one of it.
Pay the bill. Okay, allow the women to pick the bills. as well?
Allow the women.
Simplify that.
I think for me, I was trying to talk about complementarity of relationships, but maybe you need to be able to allow me to say this. That it's, as Martin was saying, it's not about necessarily equality per se, but complementarity. We shall never be the same.
We cannot.
Some women will head organizations and trust their husband, the men. We just need to change culture to accept that the reality is this, that the woman earns more. What is your responsibility as a woman?
Okay.
But maybe much more for us, the men, we also need to come to terms with the reality that many of our women these days will earn more than us. Many of our women will possibly work late.
And you should not feel threatened
by
that.
Which is precisely the point I'm trying to talk about, you know, and that the woman should actually generally lead on many and most of these other things. So that's number one. Number two, the Mifumi projects, which are not far from here, they do great work in Tororo. By the part of the Tororo element of Nagongera, the experience of women building is not necessarily my experience.
That's why,
you know, but generally it's there. But I want to say this, that I presided over at least 2 marriages, including one for my daughter, for which I declined officially to dowry, because I believe that you know, it should not be dowry. Should be a gift. It should be a recognition. It is not to be a purchase. It's not a deal. Maybe we should begin like that, Martin. That as men, we should not expect that dowries. And moreover, most of these dowries are paid. They tend to focus on to us, the fathers, even after we've dumped and chased away the women and the mothers, and maybe even the women who look, the mothers who looked after the children.
Absolutely.
And when the kids, the girls get married, they look for an uncle, or in this case, they actually crude father to give the dowry, many of these other things. So I think those are 2 things to do.
Some corporate women who are saying, how much was it?
Number 3. Politically, we must campaign that the police is equipped, and the domestic violence of police, because it's a very serious issue, is equipped here in Uganda, including cases that I've had, you know, from some of the cases I've been involved with, and you guys, you'll be much more familiar, where a woman turns up at a police desk without prejudice, meets a police officer, female police officer at the desk, and she's sort of basically dismissed. You know, if we started doing that, we shall begin to
I'm trying to, I understand you
very,
very well. And that is the whole discussion about women's empowerment, emancipation that we have been focused on all these years. We have focused on the public rights, public arena, stop domestic violence, all this discussion. But the private life, when we all go back to our homes and close the doors, what happens in the family is what we are trying to unpack, to deconstruct and understand, so that we can then take on this conversation ahead.
You talked about the more difficult subject. I don't have to refer to that anymore.
That one you can leave.
But that having been said, I want to say that because you asked me about the other side of the world. There's an element of the other side of the world why I started with electricity much earlier, was that there are some elements of practicalities that in the event that we possibly put firewood aside, electrified Uganda more, and made sure that there's solar and electricity. Maybe it makes some of these other things easier. And I'm not saying we should wait for them to be easy for men to get involved. But maybe, perhaps it's a contribution, because the rest of the other Western world experience I've had, making tea, doing the cooking, making the preparations, cleaning the house, people do it. They don't do it in turns. You do it because you need to do it. Really, because it's there, it needs to be done. And as I said, looking after children, playing around with it. And by the way, you guys, I actually have no clue.
John, if I may ask, you have a benefit of a life in Uganda, but also life abroad. When you say these things come naturally, I hear more of your British life
than Ugandan.
I know there are several Ugandan men, and there are several, enlightened men where these things come naturally, even if they might not know how to cook. But the other things they would do, and they will do them naturally. But does it come automatically, or we still have the other concept of the man who feels their master that Martin was dealing with?
Big man.
That is the big problem. That's why I've even brought back the topic to Uganda. It's the big problem. As it's an attitude thing, it's a battle we've got to fight. And that's the battle that I'm actually addressing on the screen. Do you know why? Because when I first came back from exile, I visited a friend of mine who's actually top upper middle class, This is the mother of 2 children. The daughter was 3. This is official, by the way. The daughter was 3. A young son was 1. I visited her home, and the husband who worked abroad and only came back after every other week was out with the boys. Now, this is what I was trying to say.
Chilling or with the children?
With the boys.
Out with the boys
big
and
boys.
the mother. The wife, and
the
I was,
small
and
ones.
because the wife was my friend, I was anxious to meet. I was anxious to meet the
I
husband.
don't understand. With the big boys.
Out with the boys, meaning in the joints,
In the
maybe
bars.
in the bars away from the corners.
Okay.
And actually, that's the first time I heard that word, out with the boys. You can see how old I am. Now, I'm saying, can you imagine, Monique, that you're an average man with a 3-year-old daughter, with a 1-year-old son. I just can't, I don't know. It is not Britain. It is Nagonga. I can't imagine that you're a sensible, average, normal man, and that you've got a 3-year-old daughter, and you don't want to take her to bed.
Oh, yeah?
And that
That's
you
the joy.
know, the joy and the reality of all of it, including the scientific evidence. And by the way, one of those couples is a medical doctor, and that you've got a 1-year-old child, and you don't want to play
A
around
medical
with their
doctor,
life.
but very much domesticated to do the roles that
Can you
every other
imagine?
woman
So
does.
I don't know. So that's what I'm trying to, the element of the common sense, bit
not
in terms of
common.
society. I sort of understand it does not exist.
But beyond
Sarah,
that,
yeah.
Joe, and I agree with you. Imagine if the big boys called him that we are supposed to be here, and then he says, "I want to cuddle my daughter."
They will laugh at him.
What
was
would
the
be what would be the reaction?
Let them laugh at her. I told you here that my father was
my
considered
God.
henpecked. In Nagongera, my father was considered henpecked because my sisters went to school. So really, we are saying that we can't say that...
We must break the bias.
No,
break
we
the bias.
must break it because it has to happen. Because I'm saying I've
Okay.
got experience that it has happened before.
You've made
Now,
very
in
good points.
places
Yes.
where it happens elsewhere, these things are sweet, they are fantastic. There is absolutely nothing more beautiful than actually in the evening, a man who is a man enough actually sitting while he takes a cup of tea and the woman taking a glass of sweet wine, and the children are playing at home. What else for this life do you want
That
more
is
than
the
that?
beauty
It
of
does
life.
not have to be British. I saw it at my home, and it can happen.
Absolutely.
But elsewhere, that's what happened. But you know what? That is one of the reasons why there is family cohesion. Children self-completely. You see, you know one of the reasons why I am as confident as Mr. Museveni is because I believe I have a fantastic background. Not anywhere else, but at home, here in Uganda. I'm saying it is possible to happen in Terego. It has happened for it to happen in Bushenyi. It's happened for it to happen in Kumi. We just need to change our mindset.
I'm lucky today I have feminist men, feminists anyway, generally. And you've made fundamental contributions, Joe. But I would like now just to bring us to a conclusion. You've made very good submissions, my panel. Honourable Rose, in terms of going forward, I just want to pick your thoughts in terms of what more needs to be done in terms of addressing the challenges that we are putting across in this discussion as we wind up.
Yeah, thank you. Joe has
And
said
being a
it.
policy maker, there are so many things, even linked to policy, the other
Joe
side.
said it right from LC1. We really need to put more fire and use the few men who are doing the right thing in the villages.
These are the two here first.
There are few
And
also
many
in my
more.
village to change the mindset of the rest. But then they listen.
And our children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like in my home, it's the hungry who cook.
Ah,
Not necessarily
not
the
girls.
No.
Oh, they're
Well,
hungry.
Once you're hungry, go to the kitchen and cook. Prepare food for us.
I have that battle at home.
I would
It's
be
a
in the
real
kitchen
battle.
all the time.
My
because I'm
son
always
does
hungry.
it perfectly.
I'm raising boys, big boys, but it's a battle
No,
to
just
get
tell
them
them
to the
if they're hungry
kitchen.
to cook.
But they are
And right
slowly
from-
adopting.
It's
I'll have them in Nagongera for 2 weeks. They'll change.
It's the boys who make my room. They are the ones who ensure that everything in my room is in order.
Oh.
And once I get to your room and I find it in a
Disorder,
mess,
yeah.
you are really in big trouble. And the boys' room, by the way, in my home is far better than the one
Of
than
the
one
girls, in terms of
At times
order.
I parade the boys to go and look at the mess in the girls' room, just to put them to shame. It's attitude. You don't have to wait to start it. You have to start it now. Now or never.
The boy child.
Yeah. And in my village, I'm not an admirer of boys who are rude, who don't have courtesy. You can't push near me. Songa, you can't. I can't allow. Because
Discipline, yeah.
I grew up with boys. I'm a firstborn girl. The rest are boys, and then a girl at the end there. we are 9 and only 2 girls. So there is no way you would sit there and then my father sees you.
You are actually challenging us mothers that if we don't raise our boys well, the problem,
in trouble.
we are the ones perpetuating
Whose daughter
the
are you
problem.
going to butter? Yeah, whose daughter are you going to use as everything, and then in the night there will always be conflict. There will be an issue at home because you'll be a mother-in-law, and then you have been pampering your son. Now, when the other girl who has been raised by me,
yes,
my daughter is doing human medicine and surgery.
Wow.
Now, let me see this man come and here my daughter is with a baby and cooking for him.
For you all
I'll
the
pick
time.
her. After all my assets are in her names. She actually knows this.
Now, when you get such a girl as a boy, what happens if you are not prepared as well?
They must be groomed.
Yeah, you'll enter the kitchen, both of you. And my girl is like me. She cannot allow her here. I'm now the man doing what?
What?
Tells the brother, you are hungry, you go to the kitchen, mama said. Yeah, they're hungry, you have to go and cook.
Wow.
And my boys, they wake up and say, no, today we are the ones cooking. Yeah, just without any struggle.
Any push.
Yeah.
From
and
mama.
once you give these examples to villages, by the they want to learn. They are anxious. Say, hey, you do this to your children? Yes. And I take the kids to the village. I get the village boys around to see what my son is doing. And then they learn. Wow. It should be practical. Yeah, even me, when I'm in the village, what I do, you can't believe this is a woman with 4 degrees. No. I put everything aside. At times, that's why you don't see me say, I'm a lawyer. No. I sit with them. I do everything. I make sure I'm down to earth. We work together. I listen to them because I'm not the one who has all the knowledge. I benefit from what they share. And how do we work together? How do we get these men to understand us? At times, you have to get them nearer you, and then you push them. By the time they realize you have used them.
Wow.
Yeah, so they become your agents to speak to the rest of
agents
them.
of change.
Wow. Martin, I think this honorable has challenged us a lot, and we need to borrow a leaf from her in terms of management and parenting for many people that are dealing with boys, because you need
you
to
see that thing where everybody calls a member of parliament for school fees. I tell them, now why have you produced? Assuming I was not a member of parliament. Please take charge. Be in charge of your baggage.
Wow.
Yeah, take charge.
And you boldly do that in the villages.
Even tomorrow, if I go, I'm going on Sunday. I tell them what I am able to do and what I can't. Shamelessly, working class.
You have
teachers, medical officers. They call me, Rose, I'm defeated. My son is in 2nd year. Then I ask them, how about the rural woman? The most rural man. What should he be telling me now?
Wow.
If I could pay fees for my siblings and myself, 9 of us, all of us have finished degree. And I was brewing alcohol. We slept in a house where up there is hollow.
I recall that hall, yes, the one to heaven.
Yeah, if you want to pray, you see Jesus directly. Your prayers are not stopped. How about you? No one is covering him or herself now in villages with papyrus mats. I used to cover myself with papyrus mats. Hey. We stand when it's raining. I push my siblings behind me so that the rain only stops with me. How about you, who is sleeping in a good house? I should be the one paying your fees, right?
Wow.
No.
Many MPs fear to do that, but you're doing the right thing, educating the people and giving them the right thing.
You have to share
mindset
experience.
Change. Mindset change.
Yeah.
That's very powerful. We are winding up. I know this discussion is very interesting, but I think if Civic Space gives us more time, we shall bring Honourable Kania again.
Yeah.
Obigah.
Sorry.
I have nothing to do with
Obigah is with us whenever she's around.
Yes. She has very interesting ideas. So, Martin, just a few of your thoughts, key issues, like in 2 minutes as we wind up.
Really, thank you very much. I've listened to Honourable and I'm really impressed. I must say,
certainly.
To see politicians usually want to go with the crowd and the flow, but now this is leadership.
That is leadership, indeed.
Influence. You think and influence. I think that's very good. And mindset change. At least some of the mindset money should go to Honourable, you know, the people listening in the Ministry of ICT.
Yes.
Some money. You should at least
Mindset
have how on your,
change.
you should have how on
All
your
roads to money lead to Terego.
Pay fees at all.
But also, I think as I conclude, it's important that we men think about these things seriously. Gender issues are not questions of only women. You know, whenever gender topic begins, people say, "Oh, those are
Gender,
issues
of
of
women."
women." No.
Women, yeah.
We must be involved, because if women are not happy, if women are oppressed, we're also equally not going to be oppressed. If a woman in a home is feeling uncomfortable, and means she's not going to be part of this family, and you know, usually women spend more time with children, that she's not going to give that tender love to a child, to, you know, and then it will again have the effect will
impact
be
in the
will
second
go
dish
on.
and third.
Exactly. It will still be, you know, it will transition and on and on. And also women who have got the platform, you know, there are some women who are empowered. For example, there are some women who have had wealth, money. There is that money who, so for example, that one I wouldn't pay for her. I wouldn't pay when we're on a date. If you're from a royal family, you've always had money for the entire time. So I'm not going to pay for you. If you come from an aristocratic family, I would not pay for you. And that should be but also those ones who have
So your potential is in trouble. She's going to spend all her life.
that one
You
will
just
some
lost-
we
you
shall
just
share,
lost a
we shall
date
share,
now, man.
we shall share largely, yeah, but
Will you
also
send transport?
no. Transport,
Let her come,
transport,
then
because we are partners, you know, we are partners. So you benefit from me, I also benefit from you. If we are going to have an intimate moment, I am giving, you're also giving.
Yeah.
So women who are empowered also don't sit back, don't let men bully you. Call out to gender discrimination. Call out to labeling. Men want to label, people want to label. Call them out, but also continue to assert yourself. I appreciate women and girls who continue to break through those spaces,
breaking the
assert
biases
themselves,
and the barriers.
and they do not accept to be intimidated. That is what we continue to need, because we are all created in the image of God with inalienable rights.
You know, I worry every day because I'm raising daughters. I'm wondering whether I'm going to be able to raise daughters as strong as I have been raised. And that's a question. So when you're speaking, I'm thinking about my daughters. And we are speaking to their heart, really. Yeah, empowered girls.
Yeah.
You know,
Just talk to them.
that's very, very
And many
powerful.
of us have been actually lucky to be around women who have influenced. Much of my life has been influenced actually by women. I've seen women who are taking charge. I've seen women who are in leadership. So you cannot even convince me that a woman cannot do as much as a man can do. For me, it's not even possible to convince me.
I'm so impressed with these feminists here.
Yeah,
But I thought
amazing.
actually I was expecting something different from Martin
No, Martin,
today. But
Martin even does more amazing things that we can't say on air.
Mr. Ochieno,
No,
just a few thoughts.
just because of
Anything
time.
you want to
I'll simply
emphasize?
say no. I think in all this, particularly in spaces where people have now come into relationships, where we seem to have focused today, I think the most important thing is communication. Communication will possibly detox the question of confidence, suspicion, lack of trust, mutual trust, understanding, and respect. I think as long as those kind of things exist in relations, and after all, the bottom line is love, as we're trying to talk about. You know, you can't be involved in a loving relationship and then abuse. And if we are confining this to relationship between man and woman in the other husband-wife kind of stuff, what about the one about our sisters, brothers in my own family and things like that? Surely, why would you do it like that? Take it to the places of work, where I can now make a reference externally to where you're trying to say it's about legislation. Simply saying that gender parity is a must when you push for corporate responsibilities and corporate positions. I have a particular experience with the British Labour Party. I want to bring it in UPC very quickly, where when people are going as delegates from parliamentary constituencies that have 2 delegates, one of them must be a woman. But if there are 3 delegates, two must be women kind of stuff.
Radical
So
left.
some of these
Radical
leadership kind
left.
of yeah, kind of trying to talk about, and it works. And people almost take it as a matter of formality. I'm also beginning to encourage fellow Ugandans that let's also begin to push women much more back into leadership. And to do so is to this LC1 chairman. You guys in NRM want to just push struggle for LC1, LC3, 4, 5 chairmanship positions, even people who are already in national positions. Let's begin to make sure that those positions go to women as leaders. Maybe in that we'll be preparing more women leaders in positions. But the final quick point, actually, ironically, the traditional African society that Martin spoke about, Machala, before colonialism, you know, the idea was that for us, our job was to protect and go and gather, you know, and the mothers, by and large, were to just look after the family and the children and procreate and do this kind of, and then they come ahead and complement. If we really went ahead and contextualized that into the contemporary realities that the woman is also now a corporate chiefess, and then Ochieno is merely a columnist of the weekend. Surely there's no reason why in partnership these things don't happen and don't work together. I think it's possible. We just need to try and believe in better for our society going forward.
Wow, that's a fundamental point you're making, and very good way to end. The partnerships are possible, and I think we are coming to the end. Sarah, do you want to open the discussion?
No,
again?
I thought you would leave me out of the conclusion.
No, that is a thing assertive.
I was saving the last for you.
Okay, then. That's
okay, as a woman,
just to make sure.
I have simply given it to Ochieno here.
Okay, I want to associate myself with the recommendations of the panelists. And, you know, we need to take deliberate
Steps.
actions.
Yeah.
The 35% we've attained as a country has come out of deliberate actions.
Yeah.
So we need to take further deliberate actions to empower the rural woman. And it fits in well with the climate justice, protecting the environment. Why should somebody be fetching firewood today? Why don't we make it easy to the rural electrification program?
Yes.
That is usually rhetoric. Can we take electricity to the rural areas beyond the poles? Because I've passed several highways, you see an electric pole, but there is no power
going to the local.
It's just
the main road.
Just on its way to another town,
Another destination.
Nobody's tapping power from there. And then when we sit, we say we've covered these kilometers. It's not about the kilometers. Hello, government.
Okay.
Can we see power going into people's homes? Can we see clean water beyond the kilometers? Can we see taps in people's homes? Can we see biogas for cooking? Then that would lessen
the burden
on the woman.
On the woman.
On the woman. Also to look feminine, to look lovable, and be loving. And enjoy themselves.
Indeed.
Otherwise,
and then when it comes to our homes, I admire what Honourable Obigah has shared. And then I know that my boys can fix a meal, even at their tender age. They cannot go hungry, because I keep telling them this business of sitting and waiting is long gone. That train left a long time ago. So they tighten up my room, especially the bigger one. Tightening, ironing, mommy, when you want to dress this, mommy, this is not good.
Beautiful.
At times he's stepping his boundaries of tightening to dictate on what I should and shouldn't do. But I know that it is all out of
and that
love.
is going to increase as they grow. Okay.
I know that it's out of love, but I should also control it. But please, deliberate steps in our homes.
Okay.
Deliberate actions in our homes, deliberate actions by government,
yes.
Deliberate actions by society, and I want to call the moderator to rally all of us to do the sign of breaking the bias as we sign out.
Okay, I want to call all of you to do this as Sarah said. I don't know if the camera is seeing us,
and we say it loud.
We want to break the barriers in everything in society that is challenging women's emancipation. And this has been a very good conversation aimed at that. We are still in the Women's Month. Wherever you are, we would like to challenge you to break every single bias in society so that a woman and man can enjoy that position that God designed for them. From from the beginning. We are signing out. Thank you so much for this conversation and for participating this far. This has been a Citizens Chat Show here on Civic Space, and we come to you every Friday afternoon. Shalom.